الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Inshallah, after the dhikr and the dua, in about 2 to 3 minutes, we will start our evening program. Inshallah, in a few minutes, we will start our evening program. Inshallah, we're going to start our program now. So I would like to request all the sisters if they can make their way from the Imam's office over to the men's musalla, inshallah. We are going to start our program now, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. So welcome everyone to our Bosnian Culture Night. Today we have a very wonderful program, very enlightening program planned inshallah, and we have a wonderful dinner, a delicious dinner prepared by everyone here, alhamdulillah. So before we begin, inshallah, I would like to ask Brother Niyaz Hussein if he can come on up and begin our program with a recitation of the Quran, inshallah. Brother Niyaz, if he can come on up and begin our program with a recitation of the Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فأقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khair, Niyaz, for your recitation. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala ashafil anbiya al-mursaleen, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. So, I just want to share a short story, inshallah, before we begin. So, in the year 2000, I was around 15 years old, right? I'm an old man, I know that. But nonetheless, at this time, I was walking through the streets of Binghamton. My father and I and our previous Imam, Imam Qasim, we were walking around the streets of Binghamton and we were doing what we call da'wah or tabligh, right? We were knocking on people's houses and we were inviting them to the masjid, especially the ones that we knew were Muslim. And I remember we walked into one apartment complex at that time and we knocked on one door and he said the entire complex is actually Muslim. Right? And it was at that time I found out myself, even though Bosnian families were living here from early 90s, I found out at that time that we had a mass immigration of Bosnian families. There was a young man at that time, his name was also Anas. He was actually one of my good friends. He passed away sadly in 2004 in a car accident. Many of you may have known him if you have been here since the 90s. Anas was actually 18 years old. He passed away in a car accident. He used to go to Binghamton High School. And at that time, I had a very deep appreciation for the rich history of Bosnia And it is a country in which the majority population is Muslim, but it also is also a country that went through a lot of massacre. It went through trial and a lot of turmoil. And so today, inshallah, we want to learn more about that, and especially in regards to how we can, as a ummah, learn the lessons from that for our ummah and move onwards and see how we, as a ummah, can rise up from every difficulty, right? This is something that we learn from the history of Islamic history, is that the Muslim ummah has waves. It has a rise and then it has a fall. It has a rise, it has a decline, it has a rise and it has a decline. And this is one of those unfortunate declines. It was a low point in Islamic history. But for that, inshallah, we have Chaplain Amir, who is from Syracuse, who's here also. He is also Bosnian, and he studied actually at one of the most prestigious institutes or madrasas in Bosnia. He was inspired by his grandfather, who was also an imam or a religious leader, and he also learned Islam this way. And so he's going to talk to us about that, inshallah. But we actually have a lot of different things planned today. The first thing is that, alhamdulillah, we try to have these type of programs a lot often on Fridays. If you're ever bored and you have nothing to do, right, you're more than welcome to come and enjoy some free food on Friday nights at the masjid, inshallah. We try to have these type of programs at least a couple times, if not 3 times a month at our masjid every Friday night between 6 and 9 p.m. And you will see a lot more programs like this happening, inshallah. So just a few rules. We're going to start dinner at 7:15, right? So please don't be the person that goes downstairs and starts taking all the food without everyone else, right? You want to be with everyone else. Allah's hand is upon the jama'ah, right? When shudda finnar. Whoever is individual, they're going to be by themselves in hellfire too, right? This is not about getting food on your own. This is actually about religion, but we like to keep this implementation for food as well, inshallah, right? So what do you expect? What do we expect today? We expect a keynote address from Chaplain Amir. We also have a few people, inshallah, locally. We have some children who want to do a presentation about the culture of Bosnian culture. We'll have some games about that presentation as well. And we also have some local Bosnian families who will come up and they will talk about their experiences as well. So inshallah, I would like to begin that with Sister Denisa. If I would like to ask her, inshallah, if she can please come on up and share a little bit about her story when she came here to the US and what she does. She's a faculty at SUNY Broome as well as SUNY Upstate Medical. She's very accomplished in her field. She's a person of lifelong learning and teaching, and we are very happy that she's part of our community. And I would like you to give your undivided attention, inshallah, to Sister Denisa.
Yes. First of all, I didn't think that I will do this, but I got the message from Imam, and I said, yeah, sure, let me do something, okay? What I would like to present, if it comes out, okay, here it is. I listed all of these things here, what I actually do, just to say I'm not historian. I do not write history or study history. My father was the one who really loved to do that, and he would be proud for me to talking about it, because I fought so much and wondered so much how he knows so much. You know how? He lived it. So he was practically cheating with me about the history. So now I can tell you this is the history that I lived. But before we go through that, I would like you to kind of get a little bit history, how the Bosnia became a Bosnia and what Bosnian is actually, okay? Because I always have the problem to explain where the Bosnia is. And when I talk with my patients about it, I say, so where are you? I'm like, you know where the shoe is in Italy? We're just across that. That's where we are. That's where the Bosnians are, okay? That's the easiest way. So here's that geographical position. Here's our beautiful Bosnia. Okay, we have a Sava river on this side, we have Drina on this side, and here's the Dinaric Alps on this side. I have to point here one thing. There's a Bosnia and there's a Herzegovina. I have to say this because I will not live in a Binghamton after this, okay, if I don't mention. Because there's a very proud Bosnians and there's a very proud Herzegovians. I can say that I'm both. I'm from this area, from Bosnia, but I married somebody from Herzegovina. You see, they know what I'm talking about. It just doesn't work, but it worked. 33 years, it's working, okay? So, population, this is from 1991. We were almost like 4.5 million at that time, Oh no, I remember when they went around and they were taking our names and all of that, and how many cows we have and how many chickens and everything else. I kind of wondered why they needed all of that. Later I found out probably it was because war was coming and we didn't know about it, okay? So the language is Bosnian. Before the war, actually it was Serbo-Croatian. That's how it was official. The reason for that it was official is because they always denied us to be and have the Bosnian language. But we know, when I speak Bosnian, people know I'm Bosnian. I'm a Muslim Bosnian. And they know because we have a lot of Turcicism that we use. We have a lot of Arabic sources that we use, like Arabic words that we chose to use when we're expressing ourselves. So on that way, you always can, you know where the people are, okay? And as you can see here for the ethnic compositions, Bosnian or Muslims at that time were 43.5%. We were majority. You had Orthodox 31%, Croats 17.4%, and these others here, and Yugoslavs that were saying that they're Yugoslavs, 99% of those people were from mixed marriages and they didn't want to attach themselves to any of the preferences nationally, but many of them were actually Bosnians, Bosniaks. So here is Bosnia as a composition that I really like to point out to people, that we are so mixed, we're so rich with religious, with the nationality, with everything, that it's really hard to define it in just one way. What I wanted to point out is, like, this is the picture that I stole from internet, don't report me, but like you can see the different denomination were in the same street, worshiping the God at the same time. And it was not a problem until it became a problem to some people. Also, what I want to point out is that Jews, the reason I'm pointing out this is somebody asked one of our muftiya recently, so do you feel as a European, like do you feel better, like a European style? And he said, excuse me, why would I even compare myself to anything? In 1492, when Spain said the Jews can be killed or take the Christianity, we in Bosnia accepted them. We were real European. You were not. You were killing people. We were not. And that's how pretty much Bosnian spirit is in general. After that, Ashkenazi came also from Hungary when they were threatened there. So we have that history also. There is a part of just us. Just in the Gračanica, where I'm from, there is Jews, what's the name of the, cemetery. I did not know until high school when my grandma told me about it, because she knew about it, So that's how Bosnian is. Where we're going back to in the history, can you believe it? We got the king in October 26, 1377. And yes, he was from the Serbs background. He was a Serb. And for that reason, I believe, Serbia always were saying that Bosnia is the Serbs' territory, okay? However, he fought them. He fought them. He did not. He resisted to the Serbians and to Hungarians and everybody else who tried to take the Bosnia. I will say something now that is kind of funny, so excuse me if I offend anyone, but my late grandma had the saying that whoever comes to Bosnia and poop in the Bosnia, they circle that area and they say that's ours. And then Bosnian have to prove it. No, it's not yours, it's ours. You actually came and you pooped here on our place. Because everybody wanted Bosnia, because we were in the middle. We were always in the middle between the West and the East, and we did not want to belong anywhere. We were us. We were us, okay? So, Ottomans came. 1463 is kind of the date, but they go before and after, almost for 100 years, some areas were not conquered. But that was a good time for Bosnia. many gradually convert to the Islam. Some of the books are saying that that was like, here we are, everybody goes in. It wasn't like that. It was slowly, they accepted it. They were not forced. They took it with their will. And that is important to point out. That because that is always argument that Serbs sometimes have with us, that we took it just because we wanted to get better. No, Bosnians took Islam because they found it good. That's why we became who we became, okay? And on the end of the Ottoman, guess what? They said, okay, Bosnia now goes to the Austro-Hungaries, okay? We now are theirs. They just gave us. They gave the Bosnia, like, here it is, okay? And Serbia, Montenegro, Bulgaria, they gained independence, but we were given to these people, okay? And the shift happened from Islamic rule to European administration and to their kind of rules and legacies. However, under this time, Bosnia actually prospered very well. We prospered. We had the buildings building up. We had the things, schools. We had a lot of things because Austro-Hungarian, or how we say Austro-Ugarska, wanted to show how model colony looks like. And that's what they did. However, in 1908, they annexed Bosnia. They say, okay, Bosnia is now ours. It's ours. The end of story. However, Serbs didn't like that. Serbs says, no, Bosnia is ours. It's ours. So they got really angry, and that's when 1914 happened. And thanks to us in Bosnia, World War I happened. It started there because Serbs, Gavrilo Princip, killed actually the Franz Ferdinand. We talked about that in my history classes in a school ad nauseum, how he was very victorious that he did that, almost promoting that that was something that was okay to be done. But that's how everything started, okay? And again, World War I, Bosnians fought for both Austro-Hungarians and Serbia because they were constantly in this battle where to belong and with whom to go. It's a constant battle, who you are. And then, interwar, 1918, formation of the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, when the war was over, right? But guess what? To Muslims in Bosnia, they pressured to identify as the Serbs or Croats. They had to say they're either Serbs or Croats. So the joke in my own family is my late grandpa Ahmed, if anybody wears that name, it's a beautiful name, he was written in his army booklet as a Serb. So when me and my father we like to, not fight, but we would like to, exchange. And he would say something, I'll say to him, come on, your father is a Serb. But it was a joke. We knew why we're joking like that, because he was forced to sign up like that. Or you could say, I am nobody, unidentified. You could be Serb, Croats, later they say, nobody, practically. That was us, okay? And Bosnia was marginalized. Then the World War II happened. Nazi Germany invades. Slovenia annexed to Germany. Croatia coast given to Italy, but watch this. Bosnia given to Nazi puppet state of Croatia. Because they said to Croatians, you know what, we gave your coast to Italy, so now here's a Bosnia. You can take a Bosnia, that's yours. Again, somebody took over, pooped a little bit, and said that's theirs, okay? So still, we were pushed back and forth. Okay, I want to point out here this Chetniks movement that happened during the World War II. And that movement was led by Draža Mihajlović, which was proposing the Great Serbia. In the beginning, he said that he will fight the Nazis, but really, he fought everybody who was not Serb. And the Bosnians were always target, always. Why I'm saying always is this picture here is not from that time. This is Gatsko. That is where my husband is from. I married to Gatsko town guy. I've been there once for a half hour. I know where the house is. I know he had the house. That's pretty much it, okay? But we built house here and we have everything here, thank you God, okay? But the point is they're still existing and they're still doing the same kind of propaganda and same kind of things against us. It's never end, it doesn't end. And then after World War II, Tito's rule. How many people know who Tito is? Yeah, Tito. Everybody says in America, oh, he was a big dictator, he was this and that. Yeah, no. So I will just leave it like that to the history, okay? But Bosnians actually got good from him. They got good from him, no matter what. Yes, he was a killer. But we got good from him because he gave the Bosnia a republic status. He is the one who said, Bosnia is a republic. No, you cannot give it to the Hungarians, you cannot give it to anybody. It's a republic by itself. And Muslims were recognized as a distinct group. Muslims were recognized as a nation at that time, which we didn't have before. So no matter what people say about the Tito and everything, I always say, okay, whatever. The religion was suppressed, absolutely. But the cultural freedom was allowed. You could, express yourself and say that you are Muslim, Bosnian, blah, blah, blah. Religion was suppressed not only for Bosnians, but for everybody else, for everybody, including the Christians, because it was a communistic country, I cannot say this aloud, but at that time they were teaching me in a school that God does not exist and that I should only trust the science. And one of my trauma that I still didn't work with my therapist, which I should, is the Mondays mornings. Because when I was a kid, I would go in a weekend Islamic school to learn how to pray and everything because grandma said, you have to do this. You have to do this. And then on Monday, I come to school and my teacher, God bless her soul, I wish her the best in another world. And I hope that God will have a mercy, would call up and say, which one of you went to the school on Saturday and Sunday? And of course, as a kid, you cannot lie. You don't know how to lie. I will stand up. My cousin from this side will stand up. Another kid will stand up from this side. There's like 3 or 4 of us. 30 students were in a classroom. Maybe 5 of us stand up that we went in the school. And she will say, now that you're standing up, you will stand up whole day long. And we could not sit. That was in my school. Maybe in some other schools you had better teachers. Guys, whole day long, Denisa will write like this, standing. Because on Saturday and Sunday, I was in a religious school. Okay? So, 1991, Slovenia and Croatia declared independence. Yugoslav army attacked Croatia. Kosovo Albanians launched peaceful resistance. They said, oh, we don't want to do this either. But then the Bosnia faces the pressure. Stay in Yugoslavia or declare independence. What should we do? Should we go with the Serbs and Serbia? Or should we vote for independence? I was a student at that time. I think it was Thursday or Friday. Don't hold me for the word. I left my school. I didn't go to classes. I traveled 50 kilometers down there to my village to vote yes for independence. I want yes, but yes. But then when the war started, I'm like, dude, I don't know what I did, because right after that, seriously, right after that, war happened. The problem was that many Serbs didn't want to do it. In April 5th, 1992, half of my friends from Tuzla went to Sarajevo to this thing. I couldn't go. We had the test, so I couldn't go. And at that time, they actually killed the people. during the peace. Whoever was alive at that time, you can remember this, okay? And Bosnia initially poorly armed. They were selling the propaganda how we have the army and blah, blah, blah. We had nothing. We literally had nothing. I remember, this is a sad story and funny Bosnian kind of story. So I had a neighbor Omer, and Omer was very interesting soul. God bless him now. And he was an inventor. He would invent the things. So there's us sitting in next to my house, me, my mom, my neighbor, his wife, his grandchildren, everybody's sitting, and we're watching like a show because Omer is trying to make a pistol. And we're all watching it. He's trying to make a pistol. We don't have anything. And he put it on a tree, and he has this thing that he's pulling, like a string. And we're like, oh, come on, that will not go off. No, there is, Omer, stop it. No. And then he's like, no, watch it. Watch it. He pulls, that thing goes off. He made a pistol. But that's how we had nothing. That's how we really had nothing. So whoever says differently, they're lying. I'm telling you, we did not. But the thing is, you see, Bosnia recognized by US and Europe. And Bosnia joins the UN. Oh, welcome. You're a new country. Hey. And then they still keep embargo. And they're still killing us. I remember I was at that time in a hospital that we made, and I was sitting at night, and one old man said, well, USA will help us soon, and UN, they will come and help us. And I looked at him, and I'm like, with all due respect, dude, we don't have diamonds. We don't have oil. We have the beautiful mountains and a little bit coal. Nobody will come to save us. We have to save ourselves. I'm not kidding. I was 20 years old at that time. But I kind of knew where the money goes, that's where the help goes. So we were left practically to defend ourselves. And we did it. Okay. So here's cultural memories and targeting. These are our mosques that were destroyed. There were almost in every town one of those. Almost in every village, one of those. And this is the city hall in Sarajevo in August. I was listening on the radio, and I remember I was crying because it was actually happening exactly what my grandma was saying that was happening in the Second World War when they were destroying everything that had our name on it because they wanted to erase it. If you erase, if you don't have any evidence, it's destroyed. And Sarajevo got under the siege, okay? There were a vision of the multi-ethnic Bosnia that survived because we Bosnians were trying so hard to prove it that we're not killers. We're not trying to expel anybody. We're not trying to destroy anybody. We want to live together with everyone. And that's how that was happening everywhere around in Bosnia. And then in July 1995, I told the Imam that I will not talk about this too much because I get too emotional and I get full-blown PTSD and I don't like it. But this is the time when they attack the special safe area. And they promise that this safe area will actually be safe. So they say, people, you're here, we will protect you as long as you give to us your ammunition and you give us your guns and everything else. We will protect you. Of course we will. We'll do it. And people were there for 2 years practically in this enclave, in this area. And then they failed to protect us. They failed to protect the people. To this day, 8,732 is documented as being killed. And it was not killing like you come in one place and you kill. It was hunting. It was hunting. If you watch the Hunger Game, that's pretty much how it is. That's why I cannot watch the Hunger Game without crying. It was like that. Taking into account that they didn't have assault. They didn't have nutritions. They didn't have anything. So confusion, disorientation, fear, and everything else played more role why they were captured like animals and killed around in the forests. Okay? So, like I say, not something that I want to talk, but I do want to point out this. Dutch Defense Ministry misplaced, conveniently, the list of people who are missing. They displaced. And guess what? What else they did? They erased the tapes where these guys are watching people being killed. That is something that I cannot forgive or forget them ever. I cannot. I just cannot. I can say God bless them, but I know in my heart that is something that should never happen. And it is international failure to protect. It is. But I want to end this with more nice pictures. This is one from one of my friends. She was just in Bosnia recently. I was in Bosnia like a week ago, but I don't do the pictures. I just go and eat and be with my friends. But she did. So I stole her Facebook, and I took all of these pictures, okay? So this is from Mostar. This is Sarajevo, our coffee. Mostar, Sarajevo. Okay, so this is how we look now. And this is what we brought today. Okay, so those who know our food, this is how our food looks like, okay? And you will find it after we finish this, but there's a lot of things, and I'm very, very thankful that I belong to the group of people like this, because I'm proud Bosnian, and this proves to me that we're always complicated, but we're good people, okay? And I wanted to end up this presentation with a like a final salute that we had in the beginning of the war, when we did not know how to organize ourselves, and we had the sign of this, and we would say, "Borimo se za nezavisnu Bosnu i Hercegovinu," which means we fight for independent Bosnia and Herzegovina. That was our sign as an army at that time. But I looked on internet. This is the only one from the Sefer Halilovic that I found, one of our commandeers. Nowhere else I could find any picture of our army sign like this, okay? And it came from the Stečak. That's our, from the graves, from historical. You can see that they have the same kind of sign. So, borimo se. Thank you.
Jazakallah, Sister Denisa, for your wonderful talk and presentation, and a brief overview of the history and of the region and the people and the culture of Bosnia. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you and reward you immensely. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything that you do for us. I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue and ask three young, one boy and two girls, inshallah, if Layla, Vidad, and Amna can come on up, inshallah. I would like them to discuss more about the Bosnian culture, right? We learned a little bit about the history of Bosnia and the atrocities that happened, of one of the biggest atrocities since World War II. And so, inshallah, Layla, Vidad, and Amna, inshallah, will come and they will do a presentation on the cultural aspect, the food, and the people of Bosnia, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. We are Vedad Borovic,
Layla Borovic. Amna Mulhafic.
and we're going to talk about our country, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia and Herzegovina is a small country located in the Balkan region of Europe, bordering Croatia, Serbia, and Montenegro. The capital city of Bosnia is Sarajevo. Other major cities in Bosnia are Mostar, Zenica, Banja Luka, and many more. Bosnia is located in the Dinaric Alps, which makes Bosnia have a very diverse terrain, such as mountains, forests, and fertile land, perfect for agriculture. Bosnia also has very small access to the Adriatic Sea. History of Bosnia and how Islam got there. The Ottoman Empire's rule from the 15th to the late 19th century significantly shaped Bosnia's culture and the spread of Islam. During Ottoman rule, many Bosnian residents converted to Islam, and the refugees from other Ottoman territories also settled in the region, contributing to the growth of the Muslim population. The Bosnian War, 1992 to 1995, involved atrocities against Bosniaks, including mass killings and expulsions, particularly in areas controlled by Bosnian Serbs. Following the war, many Bosniaks returned to their homes, and the Muslim population continues to be a prominent part of the country's demographics.
These are some of our favorite Bosnian foods. The one at the top is a dessert. It's called tulumba. The one next to it is called baklava. It's also like the most popular dessert in Bosnia. Then sarma. It's like cabbage filled with like meat. Hrmašica, it's also like a popular Bosnian dessert. Then there's cevape. Bosnia is known for their cevape. And pita is also a very popular Bosnian food. Bosnia and Herzegovina fun facts. The most followed religion in Bosnia and Herzegovina is Islam, with more than 50% of Bosnia's population being Muslim. There are 3 languages spoken in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which are Bosnian, Croatian, and Serbian. These languages are all very similar, so they can understand each other. Bosnia has very stunning landscapes, many rivers and lakes and mountains. Sarajevo hosted the Winter Olympics in 1984, a significant event in this country's history.
Bosnian culture and society. In Bosnian society, there are many ethnicities such as Bosniaks, Croats, Serbs, and many more. But there are different religious groups in Bosnia, such as Muslims, the biggest religious group, Orthodox Christians, and Catholic Christians. There is a high degree of tolerance and acceptance between the religious groups. The country's culture is in the mix of European and Ottoman Turk influence, which can be the architecture, music, literature, and art. Tourism in Bosnia. Some popular attractions in Bosnia and Herzegovina are Bashtasha, in the market in Sarajevo. The pyramid in Visoko, Mostar Old Bridge, Gazi Vucinenberg, and mosque in Sarajevo, Blagaj Tatekia, Dervish House, near Mustard, and many other rivers, lakes, and mountains.
Thank you for listening to what we had to say. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. This is how kids learn public speaking skills when they have these opportunities, and we always like to give these opportunities to kids. We have culture nights, we have different programs every week. We've had and other culture nights, also young kids coming and presenting, right? So we are very proud of you, Vidad, Layla, and Amina. May Allah bless you, and you guys did a wonderful job, inshallah. So let's continue, inshallah. Okay. So I would like to, inshallah, invite Chaplain Amir. Chaplain Amir is here today as the chaplain of Muslim life, of Muslim chaplain at Syracuse University, and he's also doing a PhD as well from Syracuse. He studied in a traditional madrasa in Bosnia, and he is one of the few leaders, religious leaders in America today that have both an academic background as well as a religious background, a traditional background in Islamic studies and chaplaincy. He is one of the few. Maybe there are maybe a handful, 5 or 6, and we are very blessed today, alhamdulillah, to have 2 of them here today, Chaplain Amir and Brother Umar. But today, inshallah, we'd like to hear from Chaplain Amir, inshallah. So without any further ado, I would like to ask Imam Amir, Chaplain Amir, to please come on up, inshallah, and talk to us about the lessons we can learn from the atrocity that happened in Srebrenica.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's really my honor to be here tonight, and I wanted to propose something, if that is okay. Since Dr. Denisa covered everything, and our wonderful students, we can go and eat this wonderful food. Is that okay? So, inshallah, I am really honored to be here, and every time, as you mentioned, when we talk about the genocide and war in Bosnia, it brings so much memories. So I was a little child when war started. And I remember I started school towards the end of war. And then we would sometimes start walking towards school, and shells start going over our heads and bombs. And they would say, school is closed today, you go back home. And it was very usual. So as kids, we learned sound of shells. And then we would know when you hear the sound if you need to hide and run, or if you can't continue playing. So it was just another thing, which is, when you think about that, insane. However, as kids, we knew, okay, we can continue playing or we can hide. We heard a lot about the context. We heard about Olympic Games, and I want to start there. So I was born in Yugoslavia. Bosnia as country didn't exist. Yugoslavia was fourth most powerful army in the world at the time. Yugoslavian passport was similar to American passport today. If you ask average American today, is it possible that America splits up in 50 countries, 50 states, 50 countries? Probably would say no way, right? In Yugoslavia in '84, nobody could imagine what's coming. So '84, this is when Olympic Games happened. Entire world came to Sarajevo. Sarajevo hosted Olympic Games. Under the Tito, people worked together. So what was good that he was able to promote this idea. I would ask someone to say it in Bosnian. Brotherhood and unity, how it was. Bratstvo i jedinstvo. So what does it mean? That we're all good, we're all same. And then people work together to build public good. So I remember from my parents, grandparents, nobody minded going and volunteering hours and hours to build railroads, to build public good. And it was fine with everyone, but don't talk religion. And one joke that I will make that you mentioned, so under Tito we were recognized as Muslims with capital M, meaning as ethnic group. So they had those open positions for imams, and they would say, we're looking to hire an imam, but condition is he has to be Muslim. So it was ethnic group, not as much as religious group. So this is '84. Beautiful, right? Everyone is celebrating. Less than a decade later. So this is Sarajevo in '84. Less than a decade later, Sarajevo is in flames. Sarajevo is in flames. Why is Sarajevo in flames? We will talk about that. Third phase that I want to just briefly mention, because we heard a lot about that, is aftermath of the war. So rebuilding the country and then reframing something, reframing religion completely different. So here, I'm going in opposite direction, I think. Okay, so here we have friends, neighbors becoming enemies. So people who build public good together here. So they worked hours together. They called each other same, brotherhood and unity. Now they are destroying public good that they built. They're destroying parks, they're destroying railroads, buildings. So they're destroying it together. How? With becoming enemies. So there is a cartoon, some of you may know about it, Faces of Enemy. But framing is very important. Sometimes how you frame things is important. That it can lead in othering, in seeing someone as completely other and different, or seeing someone as similar to you, who has shared values. So in Bosnia we had all these phases. Because of the rich history that Dr. Denisa mentioned, I will point out only one thing here. And when you walk in old part of Sarajevo, so here is east, and then other side, you cannot see it here, is west, but it says Sarajevo Meeting of Cultures. Because of Ottoman presence, old part of the city looks Ottoman. And then you have other part of the city looks very European. So if you go to Sarajevo, you really feel that mixture of cultures. It is place where east and west meet. This is my alma mater, Faculty of Islamic Studies in Sarajevo. So question is, why was, so Dr. Anisa mentioned how Yugoslavia broke up. So from one country that was very powerful, strong with that passport, now we have 6 countries. Each one of them very little. You got new passport, that new passport, you cannot go almost anywhere. However, they claim independence. And now question is, why only independence of Bosnia was in a question? Because all these other countries were fine. But only when Bosnia claimed independence, it became an issue. Why so? So I wondered that all the time. As a child, I wondered. I didn't have an answer. I asked. But then more recently, I visited. My parents still live in Bosnia. So in a conversation with my father, so he was a soldier during Bosnian War, was wounded, barely survived. Alhamdulillah, now he is good, alive. But every time, even if you talk to Bosnian here and in Bosnian mosques around, almost every gathering ends up talking about war, maybe reprocessing PTSD. And same when I go visit my family, so we end up talking about the war. So he provided answer unconsciously to my question that I was holding my entire life. So why, even if I had assumptions, but he said because he worked in Slovenia, which is one of 6 countries, and religion was pushed away. So you could be secular, you could practice in your life, but don't bring religion on surface. So his supervisor in Slovenia didn't even know that he was a Muslim. So he was good in school, he got a job there, he became really good at his job, and then war started. So he wanted to escape Slovenia and come to Bosnia to protect us, to protect family, to be there during the war. And he said, as I was talking to my supervisor, he didn't even know who I was, I asked him, why is all this happening? And he said, my supervisor told me we cannot let Islam prevail here. We cannot let Islam prevail here. One sentence explains it all. If you look the map of Bosnia, so Bosnia is in the heart of Europe. Bosnia is in the heart of Europe. And what is the problem? Problem is, we heard from our students, more than 50%, majority Muslim country, barely 51%. But it now became majority Muslim country in the heart of Europe. So we cannot let that happen. And even until nowadays, it's still an issue. Even until nowadays, we have 3 presidents in presidency who are rotating. And we still talk war, we still bring religion, ethnicity, especially when politicians, when they need points. But anyways, so question is, was this Islamophobia? Was it Islamophobia fueled? So based on what my father told me, based on how other countries claimed independence, so we can say that yes, it is Islamophobia, and there was fear of majority Muslim country being prosperous, and even nowadays there is a fear of prosperous Muslim country being there where it is, in the heart of Europe. So the question then is, how did Islamophobia manifest in the case of Bosnian War or Bosnian Genocide? This is where PTSD kicks in. So over 100,000 people were killed. Over 615 mosques were destroyed. Over 3,000 religious facilities were destroyed. Mass graves. We'll talk a little more about Srebrenica later, but you had, today in Khutbah I mentioned sanctity of life. No sanctity of life. So it's not enough to kill, to put him in mass grave. But many people actually were put in 1, 2, 3, 4, some even, as they say, 10 mass graves, parts of their bodies. So we still have families who are digging and trying to find remaining parts of their body. So this shows how much disrespect towards Bosnian Muslims was there. And it's not enough to take their life, but you go and take it to another level and completely, and try to cover up your crime. But to go a little on tangent, as Dostoevsky said, crime is the biggest punishment. And when we think about enduring lessons, and we will talk about that more too, what really is important is that we remember crime is the biggest punishment. Those who do things in Gaza nowadays, those who did things in Bosnia, so their biggest punishment is crime, which doesn't mean that we shouldn't pursue justice. Genocide in Srebrenica was recognized in the International Justice Court in Hague. And it is important that we go that way and that we get that recognition. So it is important for the entire world to know. But we go back to, there are some books here about Islamophobia, and one that I just like its title, Innocent Until Proven Muslim. So when we think about Bosnia, when we think about other places, really the issue becomes when you start being proud of who you are, when you start practicing your religion. And in this case, even if independence of Bosnia was issued because of fear that it will become a majority Muslim country, what happened in Bosnia is revival of Islam. So in Bosnia, it had opposite effect. It likely has opposite effect in many other places, because when you force people into something, then they dig deeper into who they are, and then they look for themselves. I mentioned with Imam Enes earlier today that something in Yugoslavia under the Tito, yes, religion was suppressed. But something that was happening is actually grandmothers, grandfathers, they taught religion in very interesting way. So everyone knew, for example, that you cannot be outside during Maghrib time. Nobody quoted a hadith. And many other examples. So they were teaching religion in the they could. They never said it is Islam, it's religion. But later on, when war started happening, people started coping through practicing religion, and they realized, well, this is Islam. Because my grandparents lived it. My parents lived it, even if probably they didn't practice in way how I expected it, but they lived it, and this is underlying value. And then they started learning more about prayers, about everything. Something that also became reality is, remember brotherhood and unity. So we are same. When war started, people that were same, friends that were friends before the war, they were pointing guns towards each other. They didn't recognize each other in many places. So even if some of Bosnian Muslims didn't practice their religion, they still were for the other side Muslim. And we have examples of Prijedor, for example. Prijedor, Muslims were ordered to put white flags or sheets outside of their houses, and if they go outside of the house, that they put white armbands around their arm. So that was announced through radio, and this was extermination of entire ethnic group. Something that, and ask, do you practice or you don't practice? Do you drink alcohol or you don't? Many Muslims used to drink. Many Muslims didn't pray, but what they had a Muslim name. And having Muslim name was enough to be killed. Having Muslim name was enough to be victim of genocide. We heard about Srebrenica. Only in few days, over 8,000 people were killed. So I live in Syracuse. In Syracuse, we have majority actually of people are from East Bosnia. And many of them are survivors of Srebrenica genocide. Many of them, or most of them, lost at least one family member. Either a father, a brother, or sibling. Something that I am always again and again impressed with is, so they built a mosque in Syracuse. Beautiful mosque, probably most prominent in the entire area of central New York. And that mosque was built by orphans, by yetims of Srebrenica genocide. So everything that they could do by themselves, they did by themselves. And even now they're trying to complete the entire project. They're working outside of the mosque. Almost every weekend you have 30, 40 people coming and volunteering. So something that one of my mentors said in one of the gatherings, yes, we survived genocide. We were displaced. Over 2 million people were displaced. In the United States, we have over 300,000 Bosnians. We have about 64 mosques, predominantly Bosnian mosques, that were built. In almost any state, you have Bosnian mosque, at least one. But he pointed something that I remember frequently. He said, it was grand opening of a mosque. He said, well, we didn't lose Bosnia, but we got America. So instead of one flag, now we have two flags. Now we have Bosnian flag and we have American flag. And when you think about our life being in America and going back to Bosnia, to our families, to our roots, I really feel empowered in a way. There is so much suffering, but also most of us got deeper in our roots. At Syracuse University, we use this framework, deeper roots, further reach. More we are grounded in our faith, more we can do. Our impact can be bigger. And I think for most Bosnian Muslims, Bosniaks, this is what happened. So they became more proud and aware who they are. They deepened their roots. They reconnected to their faith. And yet, many of them actually, yes, they were displaced, but they never forgot who they are. And now instead of one country, they have two, but also they are raising their kids, knowing who they are, teaching them religion, but also teaching them culture. And we will taste it tonight too. You saw these pictures, right? So even I was in Srebrenica Memorial. So these are all names of people who were killed. And there is more, so you cannot even take one picture that captures it all. But it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking. And they have something, if you ever visit Bosnia, so they have Marš Mira. So this year is 30th anniversary of genocide in Srebrenica. And on July 11th, they are commemorating that. But every year, they have Marš Mira, or Peace March. So what you can do, some of people who are not on this list, who maybe, I don't know if there is anyone, is there anyone here from Srebrenica? Okay, no, in Syracuse there is so many people who actually escaped from this protected, safe zone because they didn't trust, and they were going through the forest, or many of them, for months, some of them 6 months. Some of them spent 6 months in forests, and they realized, okay, war is over. They somehow were surviving. So what you can do, you can actually go to Bosnia and then spend 3 days to go to Peace March and in a way experience what people who survived went through. And I was going with my son 2 years ago. Now they have those pathways. Even it's difficult to go through these pathways in peace. Nobody is actually firing at you. And I just cannot even imagine how it was when people were walking, not knowing where they go, nothing is marked, and you're trying to hide because they're trying to shoot you. So it's a miracle for anyone who survived. So I think I covered this part, so I will just go on for the sake of time. But framing of religion is very important. We had, when war started, friends became enemies, neighbors became enemies. Those that you trusted betrayed the trust. They didn't, they pretended they don't know even your name in many places. And then after the war, we saw synagogue, we saw cathedral, Orthodox Church in Sarajevo. So after the war, one of popes actually, he called Sarajevo European Jerusalem because it has unique history. And in conflict resolution, they started using this more. And there is more interfaith dialogue. There is more understanding. So nobody is shying away now that much from religion. So it's not taboo anymore. And there is more learning. But still, religion is used to divide people in many places. And just recently, actually, we had controversy where European rabbis were supposed to come and meet in Sarajevo. It was canceled, and then there is an entire story about that. But they tried to paint Sarajevo as anti-Semitic city, even if it welcomed Jews in 15th century, and Haggadah was protected for centuries and so on. So religion is still used from time to time to paint Bosnia as not being tolerant and to turn people against each other. But I think we are still seeing a lot of positive things. So these are another examples of that. So in first case, you can see actually how it is used to divide. So this is where? In Mostar. Herzegovina, yes, we have to mention Herzegovina. But in Mostar, you have 2 fire departments. One is on side of Croatian side, one is on Muslim side. And if there is a fire, and if you call the wrong side, they will not respond. So can you imagine that? So, and it is patent that way. So this side is serving only Muslims, this side is serving only Catholics. And it is just example how religion can be used to say, no, you're different, you're other. Even if it was used, and we know that we work together, we know that there is so many shared values. Another example is middle school in Bugojno. So I am married from Bugojno, those who know Bugojno. So it's middle part of Bosnia. By the way, I'm from Buzim, if anyone knows where Buzim is. So I was born in Buzim, which is western part of Bosnia. But my wife is from middle part of Bosnia called Bugojno. In Bugojno, they still have school where it's under one roof, but you have one classroom for Muslim kids and one classroom for Croatian kids. And it is somehow justified because you are different. And then you have these same kids, they are displaced or they immigrate to European Union or come to America, and they sit next to each other and they don't have issue with each other. No issue at all. But over there somehow there is issue. So it is just an example how religion can be misused to turn people against each other. Religious leaders who play different roles throughout last decades, especially Orthodox ones, they were blessing soldiers that they were going to commit genocide in Srebrenica. So they were giving blessing to those soldiers. And unfortunately, it's reality too. But also religion can be used as asset, as social capital. I recently learned two terms. One is bonded social capital. Bonded social capital is when you bond with your own group. And we have that in mosque, we have that in our communities. But there is bridged social capital when you actually connect with those who are different from you, and then you can actually use them to help you. So today I had a conversation with someone where we said, actually now when we talk about genocide in Gaza especially, so probably Christians can play most important role. If you're able to have them be allies and start advocating, probably their voices will be heard and will be louder, way more than our voices are. So it is important. But also in this country, we saw that faith played very important religion in refugee settlement. Many churches were welcoming Muslims who were displaced from Bosnia. Over there, you're being displaced because you are different, and then you're welcomed here by a church who is probably sharing same beliefs as someone who is forcing you to be displaced. So framing is important. What role religion should play, and in Bosnia we are getting more to this. And in this country, Ibu Patel, I don't know, are you familiar with Ibu Patel? Some of you are. So Ibu Patel has few brilliant books. And if you didn't have a chance to read him. But he is talking about American society, pluralism, diversity. Diversity is fact in this country. Pluralism, we have to work on it. Inclusion, we have to work on it. But he is talking about this society being potluck society. This society being potluck society. So if you have a potluck and everyone brings the same dish, nobody would come next time to potluck, right? So if you have a potluck and everyone brings, what is famous dish? Biryani or pita or chavapi, and you don't have any other food, would you enjoy that potluck? But if everyone brings their own dish, then you celebrate your culture, you have story to tell. And in America, we have actually, this is potluck society if you think more about it. And then you enjoy variety of foods, but there is uniqueness in each story. So religion should play this role of building relationships so that we see each other first as human beings. So when you see Christian, Jew, humanist, anyone as a human being, then you're more likely to learn about them, who they are. And then if you're more likely to learn about them, who they are, you will appreciate more likely what you have. This was my experience. So you appreciate more your Islam. You have opportunity to share, but also you get a chance to share who you are. If you cancel before even giving a chance, then nobody will listen. But if you open up and if you build relationship, so you're more likely to appreciate more who you are, but also you will get a chance to introduce, to educate who you are. And in social science, they say this leads to more positive attitudes in any society. So it is important that we build those positive attitudes, because if they're negative, we see in case of Bosnia, so people turn against each other. And somewhat we're seeing it these days here as well. So what are some lessons that we can learn? Imam Anas, what time I should wrap up? Soon, inshallah. Okay, so let me try. So some lessons that we can learn. Silence enables oppression. So there is one city in Bosnia called Foča. And we're seeing that now on a global scale. But in Foča, Chetniks that we heard about, they were going every day, taking people from one village and taking them to the bridge on River Drina, slaughtering them, and throwing them in Drina River. And next day, it's next village. So people from this village, they say, no, they will not come to our village. They are going to that village over there. They will not come to my village. But eventually what happened, every single village had same destiny. So it happened, only one person actually escaped from, as they were waiting on bridge to be slaughtered, escaped and saved life. And also there was a young man, Hamza, who organized his friends, and they were hiding in forest. And every day when Chetniks go to village, take people from the village, they would attack them and they would make some damage to them. So they slaughtered every single village, they exterminated people, but they didn't have enough courage to face Hamza, because they didn't know first who he is, they didn't know how many people he had. What Hamza did, he just was trying to demonstrate some resistance. So silence enables oppression. Another thing that we learned in Bosnia was you have to stand up for yourself. So you have to stand up for yourself. We heard about making pistol that Amir made. Many other examples where people were creative and coming up with their own weapons. We had example where someone would go with knife and stand in front of tank. But then eventually people get organized, and later on things became more serious, and then everything turned. When everything turned, so when Bosnian army became stronger, more powerful, and when they started taking some land, war ended. War ended then. And then there are many questions, and we can go and talk about that. But it is important that we do help ourselves. When we think about Ummah, when we think about Muslims, it is important that we don't wait America, that we don't wait on anyone else. Yes, we need to use help, but we need to help ourselves first. And if we are helping ourselves first, then others will help you too. And then also, Prophet ﷺ taught us that what is better hand, the one that is receiving or one that is giving, the one that is below or one that is above. One that is above, right? So the Prophet ﷺ taught us that al-mu'minu al-qawiyyu khayrun wa yahabbu ila Allah min al-mu'min al-da'if. That strong believer is better and dearer to Allah than the weak one. So it is important that we work on ourselves and become stronger in any sense, with more wealth, with more strength, with anything. So if we are more powerful, then people respect you more, and they are willing actually to work with you. If you're always pleading for help, if you need always something, you will get some of it. You will get some of that help, but actually likely you will not be respected. You will always remain a victim, and you will remain weak. We need to tell stories. Stories are powerful. Nobody can push back on story, your own narrative. So for us Bosnian Muslims, we need to tell story. Those who survived, we have issue. People, because of PTSD, they don't tell stories. They are not comfortable telling stories. And I wish that more people were ready to do that, and hopefully we will come to that point. And then also do everything we can with our local government, with national government, with lobbying, with other things to be at the table. To be at the table where people vote, we need, our hand needs to count. We can protest, there is nothing bad with protest. But if we are not at the table where decisions are made, then we are disadvantaged. So our goal, long-term goal, should be to be at the table, to be strong ones, to be most educated ones, to be smartest one in the room, to be those who are making decision and who are able to vote for different decision. So inshallah, may Allah help us with that. And then whenever we have a chance, when we have disadvantaged coming to our communities, to support and help them. And I will try probably to wrap up with this. So enduring lessons, when Bosnian army became stronger, when now we could destroy religious facilities on the other side, when people could do more damage, some generals came to Alija Izetbegovic, who was the first president of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So they came to him and say, President, what should we do? Should we do same to them as they did to us? What would be the answer? What the Prophet ﷺ said in Mecca when they conquest the Mecca. They expect a different response, but they came to Alija Izetbegovic, who was very religious man. So you know about him. There is no need that I talk about him, because he established himself probably through his writing, through his scholarship. He said, no, we are not doing the same that they did. I said, why? He said, because we don't learn our ethics, our morals from them. We learn it from somewhere else. And he was able to shape narrative in a different direction and protect many of his general soldiers, but also to demonstrate values of Islam when he became more powerful. And this is important. When you're weak, you do whatever. But when you're in power, this is where you're tested, when you're challenged. Are you going to be just? Are you going to exemplify your values? And he demonstrated that with his decisions being president of Bosnia when it was most important. He also said something that we forgot, but after the war is war. Never stopped. Political war never stopped in Bosnia. It still is going on. We think it stopped 30 years ago. It actually never did, and he said that. After war is a war. Another thing that General Izzet Nanic said is unity within our community. He said, I want you, once war ends, when you become engineers, when you become doctors, when you become in all these your positions, I want you to have unity that you have now. Did it happen? Of course not. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. We forgot about that. But this was his request. So lessons that we should take away is that even when there is no real war, war is happening. Even when war in Gaza stops, we shouldn't stop advocating for Gaza. We should work on lobbying, on rebuilding, on promoting, on Palestinian fasts, on other things that will educate public about Gaza. Our problem as Muslims often is we are too emotional and we react. We are not always proactive, we are more reactive to things. But when war stops, this is when new phase starts, and we need to work hard. And it is one of the lessons that we can learn even from Bosnia. And then unity within. Instead of pointing fingers, blaming each other what someone didn't do, using anything that anyone does, and combining that and building unity and strength. Okay, so let's just wrap up because of the time. So I will end up with this dua that we find in Srebrenica Memorial. So this is dua that Grand Mufti in 2001 wrote. So it says, in the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate, we pray to Almighty God, may grievance become hope, may revenge become justice, may mothers' tears become prayers, that Srebrenica never happens again to no one and nowhere. Amin, Ya Rabb Alameen. And I will finish with telling you, revealing, these are my kids in Srebrenica. So I took my kids to Srebrenica Memorial and talked to them about that. So they're now 11 and 8. Here, probably this was 3-4 years ago. And I plan to take them again, inshallah. My son came with me to march to Peace March. And it is important to retell stories, to educate. Don't shy away. And again, deeper roots, further reach. More you're grounded in who you are, you will have bigger impact. And this is about religion. This is about culture too. There is nothing wrong with culture as long as it goes hand in hand with your religion. Deen first, your lifestyle first, and then Deen, religion, is lived always in a culture. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us protect our values and inshallah be the light and be examples of hope, safety, prosperity wherever we are and wherever we go. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.